First play we're going to look at, 2nd and 2, one of the Patriots' first offensive plays.
Stefon Diggs, he was here at Patriots practice. Josh McDaniels told us that prior to practice, speaking with him, said that Diggs is here. And so basically at that point, everybody scurried to the entrance of the practice field and found Diggs, found him right onto the field. He runs out, waves to the media and says,
nice to see y'all.
Exactly. Said, nice to see y'all amid the controversy? Is it controversy?
It's a storyline.
It's
I call
a
it a storyline for sure.
Surrounding him being on a boat last weekend with an unidentified pink substance. But now he is here in Foxborough catching passes from Drake May and the likes. And Taylor, I would say he looked pretty good today. Looked fast, not wearing a brace on his knee. Kind of surprised they gave us a look at Stefon Diggs. I wonder if they would have done this if last week's thing didn't happen. Yeah. But nonetheless, looks pretty good today. So what do you make of Stefon Diggs and his performance at practice today?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised because, of course, every ACL injury is different. But, if you go back to Kendrick Bourne last season, and he and Stefon Diggs tore their ACLs, at similar times in their respective years. Right.
Yeah.
And last year, we would see Kendrick Bourne come up, he would stretch and kind of be around the guys. But once things really started to pick up at all, you'd see him go down to the lower field. This year, Stefon Diggs, obviously, this is the first practice that we've seen him at. I believe it's at least the second that he's actually been to in terms of OTAs. Mm-hmm. But not only is he running out there aggressively, whereas Kendrick Bourne, I feel like you could still tell that he was recovering from the ACL. He did not look as fast. He didn't look as explosive. Looked like a guy who was coming back from an injury. If I didn't know any better, I wouldn't have thought that Stefon Diggs was hurt. Maybe, yes, he's like a 30-year-old receiver. There's a little bit of that, but he does look plenty explosive, especially considering the injury. So we saw him going through warm-ups and some position drills. Really, during that, he was off to the side with Ja'Lynn Polk, and they were working on, high-pointing the ball when you're working through a defender, different things like that. Really cool to also just see Ja'Lynn Polk working with an experienced NFL receiver who we can learn from and pick his brain. And then, it wasn't full speed, but during pretty much a walkthrough with the entire team, Stefon Diggs was out there, and he was participating, caught some passes. And again, that's not something we saw from Kendrick Bourne last season. So the report that came out about Stefon Diggs potentially being ready for Week 1, I would not be surprised as someone who initially said, I'll believe it when I see it, but I thought it was more likely that he'd start on PUP.
Yeah, we never saw Kendrick Bourne on the field at this point last season. We never even saw him during training camp on the field last season. So the fact that Diggs is here running through drills, like you said, not in full team drills, but like a walkthrough team drill period, he was on the field. So was Ja'Lynn Polk with that same grouping of offense.
He was wearing a yellow penny, actually, which is pretty interesting.
Clearly non-contact, for Ja'Lynn Polk. But yeah, then the two of them working to the side while team period's going on. When Polk was doing this the last couple weeks, I was like, this is not concerning, but I hated kind of seeing him away from the team and doing his own thing. The fact that it was with Diggs today, I thought that was sort of an interesting wrinkle. And then the two of them and Todd Downing were working together at one point as well during individual periods. So good to see Polk kind of taken under his wing, and also just good to see Stefon Diggs out here. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to our friends over at Prize Picks. If you want to get in on the action with us, head over there, use code CLNS. You get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.